a great young man, and he's always been kind and just a real gentle spirit to him. He's always been that way, but he was kind of a man without a country around here for a couple years, and I think it really affected him. We just couldn't quite, get him in the right seat on the bus. It took us a little while to kind of, figure it out, and because he was a running back, played a little bit of defense, but he was a running back guy, played some quarterback too, and he loved running back. We started him out, we're going to try to make him a tight end. Well, that was a steep learning curve for him, and he didn't look very natural at that. Although had he stayed there, I don't have any doubt he'd have been a great tight end. I think Vic's one of those guys that could play anything. Literally, he could play anything. He is a rare breed on the football field. But we moved him to backer, and same thing. I don't think he was very committed to it. Just wasn't the right fit. And from my perspective, though, I'm watching him over on the scout team as a freshman and a redshirt freshman, and he wasn't real fired up about special teams. This is a guy that had always kind of been the best player in his small town, and I just kept seeing him, and I finally went to Hobby, and I said, look, this guy, we don't have a better athlete on the team. And I asked Hobby, I said, what do you think? Would you take him? Hobby's, he said, I'll take him. And so we made that move, and that was a shocker to Vic, to say the least, because now he's lining up. He's like, what? All right, I'm going to defensive end. He's 215 pounds probably at the time. And my sell to him was just, let's spend this year learning. So we moved him, and so his redshirt sophomore year, we were having a difficult time with Vic as far as just getting him to buy in and getting him to practice the right way, getting him to prepare. He just wasn't with it. You could just tell. And so I met with him, and I remember it very well. And I told him, I said, Vic, I think that you can be special at this position, but if you don't commit to it and do the things that we're asking you to do, it's not going to work. And I remember telling him, I said, if you'll just commit these next 4 months, do everything we're asking you to do, just put the effort and just work on the fundamentals and the technique learn the position. All right. At the end of the season, if you don't feel good about where you are or the progress, or you don't see what I see, then I'll move you to running back, and you can spend your junior and senior year playing running back. And that was kind of the deal I made for him. And he kind of looked at me, and I said, but you got to commit. You got to try. And he did. He backed up Malachi that sophomore year. He only played 200-something snaps, but he backed up Malachi. But he led our team in sacks. Hobby did a great job of bringing him along and putting him in some positions where he could be successful and play to his strengths at that time. And after the season, I think he kind of saw, okay, all right, I got a chance here. And so he spent the entire offseason really being committed, which he hadn't really done, and really kind of having an identity. And he came out of the spring. I mean, he was awesome that spring, and then obviously, started all last year and just, lit up the world. And so that's what's happened as he's figured out who he is, and his confidence has grown and grown and grown, and he's put the work with it. He's become what we see right now, and his future is incredibly bright. I mean, he's pound for pound probably the strongest guy on this team. I mean, he is powerful. He's technically come light years as far as how to play the position. He's got a whole toolbox full of moves that he has from a pass rush standpoint, but he has the power to go with it. So he's obviously not a 260-pound guy, but he's dynamic. That's the biggest word I can say. I mean, he is dynamic. Tim was telling me something about him earlier today that he's got like 200. What was it?
218 negative yards on his sacks, and nobody else in the country has more than 135.
I mean, that's incredible to me. Again, to do what he's done as a starter in 1 year in 5 games, he just plays at another level. I mean, and when you watch the tape, it's fun to watch. He's having a lot of fun. His teammates respect him. He's become a good leader for us, and he's just off the field. He's just one of the kindest young men you'll ever meet. Very soft-spoken, doesn't say a whole lot. Very committed to his faith, and he's just a special person. Really, really, really could not be more proud of a guy for just sticking with it and trusting and pushing through.
Coach Petrino yesterday was asked about coaching and playing on the road at Death Valley, and he surmised that you can't get much louder than the Carrier Dome. You were at Syracuse last year. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, it was loud up there for a little while. It was loud. It was. It was loud. It was very, very loud. And we kind of hit some big plays early, and that changed. But it was definitely a loud place. But we think we got a great environment here. That's for sure. And those guys have played in a lot of big environments. Different places and stuff. And they've beaten Florida, and they've got some big wins. But I hope we sell them 200 tickets. I know that. We got 200 tickets we need to probably get sold. But I know this will be a great environment on Saturday for college football.
Would you mind recounting the first time you saw Deshaun Watson, was it on videotape or was it in the camp? Or
high school tape, as a freshman, and then he came to camp. His first time in person was when he came to camp out here, and you knew immediately that he was special. And then just meeting him and the type of kid he was, and just how he handled himself. It was impressive. He was the best guy in camp as a 9th grader, and then his 10th grade year, February of his 10th grade year, he called me and committed to Clemson. Just very focused and never got caught up in recruiting. And this guy had the weight of the world on him in recruiting because, for 2 years, he had to withstand all the reasons why not to come to Clemson. Because we were obviously the target, and he had everybody in the world trying to recruit him. But he is a special guy, and he was a lot like Sammy as far as the recruiting process. He was a lot like Sammy, but it's fun to watch him. We talked about what he's doing 3-4 years ago, and to see him now and kind of see where he is and starting to just blossom right before our eyes, it's really fun to watch.
Do you hear the chatter about what would have happened had you started him from day one?
Well, I don't have no idea. I don't deal in hypotheticals, but again, we hadn't seen him play, and we have to go through a process just like any other thing. And as I've said many times, Cole clearly won the job in the spring, and he was still number 1 after camp. Although at number 4, we all recognize, okay, this guy is really, really, really coming, but we have no idea, how's the guy going to respond? You have no clue. But you come out of it, and here's your depth chart, and you go to work, and hindsight's always 20/20. But seeing him in that Georgia game, we were like, okay, the stage wasn't too big for him. Thought Chad handled him very well, and then he played well against South Carolina State, and then obviously Florida State, he just kind of took off. And so I think he's in a good place mentally, and has a great understanding of what we're trying to do, and incredibly bright future. But I don't sit around and play hypotheticals or what ifs or whatever. I'm just worried about at windshield what's in front. That's what I'm focused on, and trying to beat Louisville.
What's Deshaun have to do better? What can he get better at? Because watching him,
Oh,
When
he's
you
got.
say, oh, this, the guy's perfect.
He's got a lot to get better at. He missed a couple throws last week. We had a big third down. He threw the ball behind Gallman. So just there were some. He had incompletions. I don't think he was 28 for 28. We want to complete them all. We want to make all the right checks. He's still growing as far as really as he gets challenged each week with different blitz packages and pressures and having to, game plan each week and process what this week is, what we're doing this week. Okay, we did this last week, but that doesn't apply this week. Really being able to manage that. There's all those things. And then, I'd like for him not to hurdle people. That would be something that he's got to take care of himself. But he's got tons of room for growth. I mean, he's done some great things, but he played better. He played much better Saturday against NC State than he did against North Carolina from being just a complete quarterback. And hopefully we'll just continue to see him get better. Physically, we want to see him continue to develop there. He's over 200 pounds, but I think he's a 215, 220-pound frame. And I don't have any doubt this time next year he'll be probably pushing that. So there's tons of room for growth. He's learning new things each and every week as we play different opponents. But I'm really proud of him. I mean, he's just a freshman and he's having fun, and we're trying to keep it simple for him.
Obviously, this is, it's not, there's a lot of speculation involved, but, I mean, after 2016, is he one of those guys who you shake his hand and you say, welcome to the end?
Let's just see if we can win some games as freshmen. We don't, goodness, Lord, mercy, we don't sit around and think about stuff like that. That's like the last thing on my mind. That'd be great. If he's leaving here like Sammy Watkins did after 3 years, then that means we won a lot of games and we had a lot of great moments. But man, I mean, he ain't even passed freshman biology yet. Let's let him. He's got a lot of good decisions that he has to make. He's got on and off the field. As he goes through the process of doing what he's doing and being a college student. That's like the last thing on my mind. But I hope I'm here.
He's already passed.
He has. He's already passed that. Okay.
What kind of transformation have you seen out of Mike Williams, and you just kind of see him being on the verge of really taking that next step and being the next big receiver out?
Well, he's responded. I was disappointed with him. In camp, because I felt like he was in a little bit of a comfort zone, kind of lazy with his opportunity, not a real sense of urgency. Last year he had a much higher sense of urgency because he had Martavis, and he's trying to get on the field and trying to compete with Martavis every day in practice, and he played about half the time. I mean, Mike was tremendous, and so we came into this thing really expecting him to be great, what we're seeing. But I didn't see greatness. I didn't see a commitment or a consistency to be great in fall camp. And so he knows he was coached really hard in fall camp. Demoted him a couple of times, and the problem was, Damari was backing him up, and he's a true freshman, and he's physically not quite where he needs to be yet, mentally not where he needs to be yet. Going to be a great player, Damari Kitt, but just, and Mike, we just didn't have the competition. Just makes beautiful things happen in the game of football. And so I slid Sharon over there a couple of days, and we started working Sharon over there and kind of splitting some time because Sharon can play anywhere for us. He just started to kind of figure this thing out here that he needed to change his focus and his work ethic just a little bit and bring a little different sense of urgency to work every day. And that's what he did. And he's gotten very consistent with that, and he understands what it takes, and he's having fun. His confidence is sky high through the roof. He's another one that, just kind of blossoming right before our eyes, and that's why we went and recruited him.
Were there sit-down talks with him at all, or was it more of just kind of threatening his playing time like you just mentioned?
Oh, no. We sat down and had a few conversations.
Dabo, did Sean's injury And then the spring, did that set him back at all? Going into
No. I mean, it set him back in that he missed the last week of spring ball and didn't get to play in the spring game, and it set him back as far as being able to jump right into the off-season program, because he was 4 or 5 weeks before he really kind of got back out there. Slowed him a little bit the first part of summer, but that was the biggest thing. But mentally, he just continued to grow and learn. He's a worker. Deshaun is he looks for work. He's not an idle guy. He's not one of those guys that's just sitting around in the apartment playing video games. He's sitting in the apartment drawing up plays, looking at an opponent, looking at his notes from his last meeting. That's the kind of guy he is.
Did you see Sammy's catch Sunday?
The tip one, I did see it. Yep. Will showed it to me. Showed me a clip of it. Yep.
What's it been like to see him contribute this quickly?
I mean, not surprised. The guys, I said that last year. He'll impact the NFL. In fact, I think some ways that it's probably easier for him because it's all football for him. He's he's focused on just football. He's not dealing with school and all the other things. He's they got a 5-yard rule in that league where you can't touch him after 5 yards. That's a pretty good rule for him. So, I mean, he's just a special player. He and Nuke Hopkins, special. And nobody talks about Jerron Brown, but he's doing pretty good too. And I told everybody in the whole evaluation process when these scouts come in here, it's sometimes a guy like Jerron Brown, he's got 2 first-rounders beside him. And, Jerron just kind of didn't get as much shine, I guess, because he, in my opinion, was probably a middle round type of guy. But it's really fun to see what he's doing as well. I mean, Jerron is just doing a tremendous job. They love him. Absolutely. Coach Arians absolutely loves him. I mean, he thinks he's got a great future for them and beyond. But Sammy's off to a great start. I mean, he's having fun. It's fun to see Nuke doing what he's doing. Dwayne Allen, we got a bunch of guys. Even old Palmer had him a touchdown this weekend. I get the update every week, usually Sunday at dinner. Beret gives me all of our NFL guys scoop. Branch getting fined, that doesn't surprise me. Some things never change. So, it's really cool to see all those guys. I still got a few of them that owe me a degree. In fact, I just wrote them all a letter last week, kind of wanting to know what their plan is to finish up. Got a few juniors out there, and I think I got only six seniors that don't have their degree yet. So kind of chasing them down, making sure Dwayne came off the list. Miguel Chavis came off the list. But I'm proud of all those guys.
Coach, you talked to Deshaun maybe trying to get the ball out a little quicker this week against Louisville. I know you guys like take some shots down the field, but perhaps with their aggressive nature and their pressure, do you stress maybe the importance of maybe quicker reads and going through the process a little quicker?
I think no. We just want them to just stay within the system. I mean, our system is set up to where if he'll just take what they're giving him. Obviously we don't want him holding the ball. We don't want him. He's got to get to his check downs and things like that. But to be honest with you, he's done a phenomenal job of that. I mean, he really has. He got him. So he took a sack last week. We had 2 sacks, and one was on the OL, one was on Deshaun. Where he held the ball. But for the most part, he's had a good instinct as far as when to run, when to create and extend a play. But he hasn't done a lot of just holding the ball. He's got a very good feel for his progressions. I mean, he hit a check down last week. We had two check downs that were tremendous. One was on a 3rd down. We ran a wheel route out of the backfield with a post combination, and he knew right away that it wasn't there, and he came right to the back, and we had a nice gainer. And then there was another one where the back kind of got caught up in the traffic and slipped out late. And Deshaun, he just has a good presence as far as where everybody is, and he kind of had one of them old jump passes over the line to get it to the back. So he's done a nice job with that. But the biggest thing is just knowing where they're coming from and understanding where his protection is, where his weakness in the protection is, where the hots are. He did a great job last week. We were